Thanks for joining us today on Cece and Doc Talk, where we talk about everything under the sun. You never know quite what you're going to get, but you'll always be entertained.
Welcome to Cece and Doc Talk, and today we're going to air a little dirty laundry
As we dodge hummingbirds out here in our outside studio.
And we're not airing our dirty laundry because we shit our pants or anything to have to do with poop or
Thank
anything.
God today. Thank God. None of that in the house today.
But we're going to talk about how can we be nicer to our relationship and one another when we're both in heavy concentration mode. And we'll practice actually a healthy communication style here where we talk about I, or from my perspective, as opposed to using you or that, all that, where you
Wait a minute. If we already know how to have those conversations, why is this a problem that we need to solve? Maybe we should just use those conversation skills more frequently.
Right. So,
Brilliant idea. Podcast over. No.
Because, similar to going on a diet is as simple as, eat less, exercise more, but not so easy.
I can attest to that. I truly can. Yeah.
In theory sounds easy, but in practice so much more challenging, right? Especially when we have Oreos sitting right here and I want one. Yeah.
Dark chocolate Oreos.
I love them. All right. So what's our dirty laundry that we're airing today? And that is...
I don't know. You started this podcast, so I guess
we
it's
get
all
into
you.
Very deep concentration modes. I get into deep concentration mode. I get sucked into puzzles, creating some of the social media videos. I mean, they take hours and hours and hours. And you get into writing mode and you love to write. And then every once in a while we realize it's like, okay, we haven't done our exercise for the day, or we haven't eaten in 12 hours. What are we going to do? Are we? And we try to check in with one another. It's like, okay, what's happening? What's going on today? Are we going to resurface and eat? Are we going to
I don't
for
know.
a walk? And
I don't know. I don't know.
We both go, bah,
Wait. I do want to interject. The reason why we get into that hyper focus mode is because both of us unofficially diagnosed ADD or ADHD, and so we get it. We have that ability to hyper focus, and it creates this tunnel vision, which does effectively eliminate everything around you. Which is so funny because normally, like, any kind of noise or stimulus would have me like paying attention, but boy, yeah, you get into that hyper focus mode. It's like you're in a tunnel. Mm-hmm. So,
right. So
thought I'd mention that.
So how do we get out of the tunnel, or at least be able to stick our head up along the way,
like whack-a-mole,
and then not getting whacked, right? The whack-a-mole theory, because all of a sudden you stick your head up to see what's going on. It's like okay, I'll just stay in my little cubby.
Crawl right back in there.
And so we reinforce. It's like, well, I'm just going to leave you alone, or you're just going to leave me alone, and I'd rather that you leave me alone, or you'd rather that I leave you alone, and then we don't know how to then come back and reconnect or resurface or just even communicate to know what's happening today. Or
okay, so let's take today for instance, because I think that's a good one. So today is the first day in I don't know how many days where we haven't had an appointment, a class, anything on the calendar, a client meeting, or any type of anything. And so we set it aside on the calendar as a no meeting zone day. Now, because we usually have one day a week that's our day, this wasn't necessarily that, but sometimes when we have only, one day available to us or 2 days available in a week, you feel this little bit of pressure to be spending that time together and utilizing that as quality time. And yet I woke up early this morning, earlier than you, came down, opened up my computer, and I finally started working on this really complex blog post that I've been wanting to work on and haven't had a lot of time to work on for the last couple of weeks, and it's really a priority for me. And so I start writing, and you were super nice because you got out of bed and came downstairs, and I didn't even really know you were awake at that point because you were just being really respectful and letting me have that writing time. And then we went for a short walk, and you asked me something, and I said, well, I feel very torn because I feel like I should spend the day with you because we get so few of these days, but yet I also feel like I'm right, in the middle of this blog post, which is flowing, which doesn't always happen. And I really want to get that done. And we do need to go to town today to run errands, which is a 30-minute drive one way. Yeah, to get the mail. And so I'm like, I feel really torn. Like, I really want to go back and write because it's so hard to get in that creative mode sometimes
Right.
when we've got other things going on. And yet, I feel like I should be dedicating that time to you. So originally what we decided is I was going to go back and write for a couple hours, and you were going to work on a video that you'd been putting together for social media. And that worked pretty good. But now then we had to emerge because we're starving.
Well, and you know, it is like 5 hours later.
Yeah, it's like 2:30 in the afternoon. Well, of course, I had a bathroom visit in there that took 30 minutes. So
we
that
weren't
happens.
airing that dirty laundry today.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, never mind.
So, and I'm heavy into this social media post that I'm creating. It's the creation or the making of a flash flood, and we had nothing short of 80 plus videos and photos, and I wanted to.
We were about to get out the arc the other day.
Yeah, and I wanted to get it down under 90 seconds of completed video. So,
Hey, can you imagine lesbians on the arc?
Gosh.
Sorry, just had that random.
You're
funny.
in writing mode. And the other thing we know is that when you're in the flow, and they call it flow, and then you disrupt that flow, it takes 45 minutes to an hour to recapture that original train of thought and that original flow.
I
And
resemble
it's
that remark. At least 30 minutes. I
Right,
for
and
sure can
so
relate to that.
when you're in the writing mode, you want to stay in that. And then we also know it's like, all right, give me a couple hours. Well, a couple hours is always not realistic. It usually
Never.
turns into a day.
At least.
Okay, so we understand the issues, right? So what do we do about this? And, you and I'm going to go back to, you and I have a philosophy back when we traveled. And that is, we're able to behave in our world as if we're single, but respect, but respect the fact that we're not. Right. And so, you fly somewhere, you land and you check in, and I check in because I want to, because I respect. But if I have a late night dinner, I used to have late night dinners with clients or something like that. I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in trouble if I didn't check in. Right. So the same thing, if we apply that
Sorry,
to
I'm
this,
just thinking of my Grindr profile right now. If you, I don't even know these terms. Is Grindr just for men? I have no idea. Anyway, I'm thinking of it right now. All I can think is she sports a short and sassy semicolon and ready for action. No. Anyway.
Never.
Sorry. I digressed.
Wow. Okay. So as I said, as soon as you
Random
get
thoughts.
out of the flow, it's hard to get back in the flow. So where was I? Anyway,
Squirrel.
So I think you said the other day, what would you do if you were by yourself in the house?
Yeah, if I
today?
wasn't here and I weren't helping you with that or telling you how to do that, what would you do?
What would you
differently?
do? And I'm like, well, I would just do this. And I think, we're trying to be so respectful of the other person, or we don't want to interrupt the other person, that we do this really wiggy dance. And it's not healthy.
Wiggy, wiggy, wiggy. Wiggy, wiggy, wiggy.
Get wiggy with it. Get jiggy with it. And so, we might have to have days where we just have permission. It's like, I'm just going to completely do my own thing today. You're on your own with food, everything, and even workouts. Go do your thing.
Which is usually supposed to be Fridays, but we have an engagement, and that seems to come up a lot. So, we work really hard to set aside those days, and then they always just sort of get
Right. I'm
kicked
looking
to the
for
curb.
help solutions. So,
Well,
like
I'm
today,
really wishing that there was audience interaction in this podcast, because I'm thinking there's some therapists,
If you have
and some
ideas,
other
right, yeah, we
folks,
need some-
experts out
we need
there
some
who
help
could
here.
give
Okay.
us some advice.
So, how should I have approached you today, knowing that the flow was happening, and I'm now starving, so I'm going to make some lunch. Do I just make some
definitely
lunch
offer
and-
me lunch.
So just make the lunch and then set the plate, slide the plate through the door.
That's what I do for
and
you.
You could just surface if you want to eat together, and then you can decide, are you done? Do you need a break? Do you want to go to town, go to do a workout? So how do we get it so that we're both not doing this wiggy dance?
I don't know, because I truly, sometimes I'm stumped on that. Because, the workout's important, alone time where you're getting shit done and things that feed you are important. Quality time is important. Errands are sometimes important, like when you have something waiting at the post office that they'll send back in 7 days if you don't get there fast enough. I don't know. I don't know. I find myself regularly torn about, and again, it comes back to this whole idea of, if this were your last day on earth, because that was how I was thinking a year and a half ago, if this was my last day on earth, is this how I would want to spend it? And I'm like, damn, that's a hard question to answer because there's just so many things I want to do.
Well, yeah, I would not be wanting to spend it doing a blog post that takes me 12 hours to create.
But that doesn't feed you. That feeds me.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But I do enjoy it when I'm doing it. So.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I don't know how you. Well. So I mean, I don't know. Like did you or did I say earlier? Like we often regroup and we're like, okay, what's your plan for today? Like I need to know if you have a plan outside of me that I'm not aware of. So I think
do
that's
a check-in.
helpful.
All right, let's just do a check-in. Where are things at?
Yeah. And then
can we both agree to do check-ins without getting defensive?
I'm not sure I can agree to that. It depends.
To me, if that's the piece that we could solve, can I do a check-in? Because what I'm hearing is
it's the guilt. The guilt.
You have so many things that, like what you just mentioned, all these different things that you feel like you should be doing or you have to get to, but you really are in the flow over here. So when I check in with you, it makes you feel bad about your own to do or agendas.
Right. Well,
and
like
so
I feel like
you're not upset with me.
No.
It just resurfaces. It's like, I know.
No, because I feel like guilty. So if I focus on me and the things that I want to do and me time, then I feel guilty not spending time with you.
So if I'm doing a check-in, you think you think
I don't know that I don't know if I think you're questioning me or putting me on the defensive. I think sometimes you're right. Like it's my own personal baggage that does that. Well, and I think you do the exact same thing.
So that's the piece we're trying to solve is how can we do a check-in with the other and
as always, knowing what to do is a whole lot easier than knowing how
to do it,
to implement it. Yes. And this is all part of that whole transition, right? Like post-cancer transition, retirement life, semi-retirement life transition, and also recognizing that I don't have the same kind of energy in a day that I used to have pre-cancer. So, I never know when I'm going to be in the bathroom and that's going to take up half my day, or if I'm going to hit a wall and need to take a nap at some point. And that takes an hour or two out of the agenda that I had set aside for me time. And I'm like, well, I don't want that to be considered my me time. Like my me time should be my me time. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fucked up.
It is a tough one, right? Because when you have a job, you don't have it's like, this is what you do with this time.
Right.
But when all of a sudden you have some of that freedom of what do you do with that extra time. And I know that, many people, it's like they don't have a choice because, here's your work time and then you have the kid time and then this. And
thank God we don't have children that we're trying to juggle into all this. Oh, my goodness.
And then, the sports and getting to the activities and getting here, there's not a lot of time for any of the choices.
Right.
So just, when you're longing to have this freedom of what to do with your time, just so you know, you'll fuck it up too.
Right.
It's just not that easy.
And yet, I should point out that we coach other people on this all the time. Thank goodness we let them come to their own conclusions about their work, about their balance issues, because we clearly are not the experts, which, is just a big testament to coaching because people don't argue with their own ideas.
All right. So maybe my conclusion here of what I'm going to do is instead of just checking in with you,
you're going to make me lunch or bring me a cookie, or
I could just make you a lunch or I can just let you know what I'm doing and what I'm up to, and you can decide whether you're going to join me or not on that, and then you have your own guilt to deal with, but I'm not questioning and making it surface.
So you just brought up like a good point, right? Because now if you're doing something without me, then I have that FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, or I have guilt about not doing it with you because I know all you want in life is a playmate. And so I'm like,
let's go play.
I know. So then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so confused. I don't know what to do. Why am I starting to feel like that this whole podcast was directed toward me and my behaviors?
You were actually, well, so am I. I was just saying, okay.
Very tricky. Very tricky of you.
How do you get it? So how do you check in with me?
Well, I usually ask you, like, what are your plans for the day? Or what are your plans for the next couple hours? Do you have something on your agenda that involves me? so that I can plan accordingly or be aware of that and readjust my thinking or my schedule appropriately.
I can learn from that.
I think I've started to do that. I think.
So do you have something on your agenda that involves me or would like to involve me?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so that I can make the appropriate adjustments. God, I don't know when my brain got so full and my schedule got so busy. It's just such bad habits over the years. Yeah. Such bad habits of like.
This is when we're not living in the moment, right? This is symbolic of if we don't live in the moment. But when you
which
are
appears
in the
to be
moment,
like 99% of the time.
But when you are in the moment and you're in the flow of the writing, you should stay
right,
there,
and that's
a good thing.
So sometimes being in the moment is doing that solitary thing, which then you get the hyper focus, which then alienates the world around you.
Is it as easy as us giving ourselves permission that I am going to do this right now, and it might take longer than I expect.
You can just deal with it.
And you do whatever you want. I am going to do this. I'm going to write this article. I'm going to create this video, and it's going to probably take longer than I expect. So, but once I'm in the flow, I'm going to stay in the flow. Thanks for understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely think that's helpful. I mean, I think we've tried some of these things before. There are certainly hiccups along the way. It's not always, it doesn't always go that smoothly because I don't know. There just seems to be a lot. And you know what's crazy is that the whole lesson, well, many lessons, but one of the biggest lessons around the whole cancer journey was learning to be in the moment, learning to have more balance, learning to have less stress, learning to have less guilt, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And we still find ourselves battling this every day. And I think one of the reasons why it's super important to do this in a podcast is because I think the rest of the world is in the exact same space.
Oh yeah, the balancing. It's an amazing balancing act of so many things. The spinning of the plates and continue to spin plates, you know.
And honestly, one of the things that just occurred to me is, you know, what most people do to be able to fit it all in is not sleep. And you and I are very committed to rest and sleep
and our physical activity
because we know that that's just paramount to good health. And so while we're not willing to compromise that.
Well, we did that for so many years. I mean, how many years of getting up early and staying up late and getting up early and we were so exhausted.
So requiring
so many years.
The fact that we require 8 hours of sleep and sometimes don't go to bed until midnight because of the night owl thing, you know, that then complicates things because you almost, it's like going on vacation for 2 weeks. You come back, you feel like you have to catch up. It's like every morning you feel like you're playing catch up for the day before. And I think it's, you know, it really comes down to mindset, like, and giving yourself a fucking break. And I think that's what we don't do. I think neither of us.
So I need to give you a break and you need to give me a break.
Yeah. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's not just about giving ourselves a break. You know, usually you think about it as an internal process, but maybe it also needs to be an external process.
So maybe I could do it. It's like, what can I do to help you? Because I know you want to get this done and it's going to take longer than you expect.
Go away. No. Go away. Let me write. Just kidding. I'm joking. But you're right. Like not only what can I do to help you? Because there may or may not be an answer there, but how can I like not react, or how can I support you, or, you know, what do you want me to do during this time? And it might just be.
You usually go, I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because I don't know a lot. Because my brain is full.
Your brain is full. And I want to go back to the sleep thing. I think, you know, I retired a year ago, and I think I've slept for the last year just to recover from all those years of being on airplanes and travel. Relentless.
I mean, some days I really do wish I were a morning person because I'd get up, you know, 2 or 3 hours before you.
Yeah, but then you'd be falling asleep by 8 o'clock.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But 9 o'clock.
But in my mind, I'm like, well, then I would get up 2 or 3 hours before you. I would get some of that other stuff done, and then you could have a playmate for the rest of the day, and life would just be beautiful and rainbows and butterflies.
All the time. Life is beautiful all the time.
But life doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's our recap?
I have no idea. Did we even provide any solutions? Seriously, y'all, if we post or when we post the teaser of this podcast on social media at CCNDoc, it's an N, not an and, CCNDoc, feel free to give us your tips on how you manage the balance that we're talking about.
Or the checking in with one another without it
Yeah.
being, the added guilt or the getting defensive.
It's the guilt.
Well, and to just...
Because I would love to spend time. I would love to do nothing but spend time with you, but I just feel this pull to get other things accomplished.
Well, I feel that.
also.
Like, I get sucked into puzzles. I love puzzles, and I can stay up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning and work on puzzles. And I know you will, you want to watch a movie in the evening, and I'm like, if I go up and do a puzzle, but then I'm not sitting with you or that quality time watching the movie with you or next to you.
I can
I'm just saying I have that guilt too.
I can exonerate you from that, because here's the thing. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's nice when we sit on the couch and cuddle, because sometimes that's the only cuddle time we get in a day. No question. But in terms of actually watching the movie, I do that. We literally sit down on the couch maybe by 9:30 or 10. We watch 1 hour of something and then we go to bed. But the 1 hour is truly my turning my brain off for that period of time. So while the cuddling with you is nice, it's not absolutely necessary to achieve the goal. And if your puzzle is more your brain turn off than the TV, then that's fine with me.
I like our version of cuddle, which pretty much means our elbows are touching.
I'll just binge watch The Crown without you.
Well, that should take about a year to catch up on that one. So, all right. Exactly. Are we doing anything in summary takeaway? So when I check in, what can I do to help you, or what can I do to help, or to say,
I'm good. Do your thing.
I'm good. Do your thing.
Do your thing.
Here's some food.
Yeah, feed me.
Don't feel guilty. Whatever you need to do. But I'm going to go have fun without you. No.
That right there, that
doesn't work. Yeah.
Damn.
No. All right. We'll try some new things and see how it goes.
Fine. I'll have fun writing my blog post and making my weird humor jokes without you. I am appreciative, though, about the fact that you're participating in the social media. So thanks for that.
All right. It's a wrap. So anything else you want to say here?
I think we've said more than enough. Thanks for tuning in to CC and Doc Talk. We'd love for you to follow us on social media at CC and Doc. That's CCNDOC. And you can visit our website at ccanddoc.com. We also take monthly donations to support this broadcast if you're so inclined. We'd love to hear your comments, suggestions, and questions, and we'll do our best to respond. Thanks, and have a fantabulous day.